Welcome to Cancer HealthCast, where science is driving hope. I'm your host, Nikki Henderson. Today we are joined by Brittany Connors, who is the Director of Investor Relations with the Small Business Innovation Research Development Center at the National Cancer Institute. She will discuss life-saving technologies NCI is creating to help diagnose cancer in women. She will also talk about how the agency's funded startups are impacting cancer prevention and survival rates, as well as some of the challenges NCI has faced when trying to bring innovative techniques to advance treatment options for patients. Hello, Brittany, and thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Hi, Nikki. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Well, Brittany, can you start off by giving a brief description of your role at the National Cancer Institute and also tell us about the overall mission of the Small Business Innovation Research Development Center?
Yes, absolutely. So, the NCI Small Business Innovation Research Development Center, which I know is a mouthful of words, so we abbreviate it NCI SBIR. We provide federal research and development funding and commercialization resources to small businesses developing really promising next generation cancer technologies, with the ultimate goal of being successful in the commercialization and, having a really big life-changing public health benefit. Our program is congressionally mandated, and our budget is currently around $200 million dollars a year, which honestly surprises some people when we're talking with them. We're kind of like the VC arm of the government. We fund via SBIR and STTR grants and contracts. And the great thing is that all of our funding is non-dilutive and all IP rights stay with the small business. So it is truly free money that is going towards a really good cause. And per project, one company can access around $7 million dollars through all of our funding phases if they continue to reach their milestones. And so we have companies with multiple projects, and through all those projects, they have access to that pretty substantial funding for it not being dilutive at all. And so that does surprise people. And, although that federal funding is vital for life science startups specifically at early stages of development, it is often insufficient to translate the technology from discovery to commercial product. And so these startups must really connect with follow-on capital and resources to bring these NCI funded technologies, paid for with taxpayer dollars to patients. And so that's kind of where my role comes in. I've been the director of investor relations for a few years now, and I've been, at this office for a while, probably like 8 or so years. And I've really kind of developed into this role of investor relations where I'm trying to identify companies in our portfolio that are ready to go out and start pitching to investors and strategics and, supporting those companies and doing that. And I also interact a lot with the investment community and strategic partners, and they actually help me once a year to review our portfolio and identify those companies that are ready for follow-on funding. And it's this large process, but it's really cool, and I feel like we just have such a robust network of VCs, angel investors, pharma folks, medtech folks that are focused solely on in oncology. And it's just really fun because I get to interact with both the investment side as well as all of our small businesses. And so it's just a lot of fun being able to connect people and, hopefully it will translate into companies getting more deals and, continuing along their commercialization journey.
Wow, that is wonderful to hear, Brittany. Thank you so much for telling us a little bit about your role and also talking about the mission of NCI SBIR. I appreciate that. I know that NCI was recently featured at the Empowering Innovation in Women's Health event. Can you outline some of the key objectives of that event?
Absolutely. Yeah, so this year, I feel like earlier in the spring, we really started to see this momentum around women's health overall. And so, us here at NCISBIR, we wanted to organize an event that would highlight some of our portfolio companies that are, not only focused on developing technologies for women's health, but are also led by women. And this event would also allow for us to disseminate really important information for others in the audience, including early career scientists, that could help them navigate the various paths to starting and building their own biotech company. And so it was great. We had wonderful partners, in the American Cancer Society and Portal Innovations in Boston. And so we were able to hold the event in Boston, which is just such a massive hub for all things biotech. So it was just such a great place to hold the event. During the event, I moderated a fireside chat with Dr. Cameron Rathmel from NCI and American Cancer Society's Senior Vice President of Extramural Discovery Science, Dr. Christina Annunziata. And then Dr. Rathmel led a roundtable with 6 companies that were funded by NCI or American Cancer Society, and in one instance, both organizations. And so the goals of the event really were to demonstrate the priorities of both the NCI and the ACS and the NCI director's commitment to supporting women's health, and then highlighting everybody's own journey as a woman in biotech, and then really showcasing these companies to show the positive impact that they're bringing to women's health and how they navigated, the funding and how they're continuing to navigate those biotech journeys, and really encouraging more women in STEM to bring their idea from lab to market through entrepreneurship. And so we really just wanted to share lessons learned amongst, members in the audience and, the members that participated in the roundtable, and really utilize the event as a great networking, opportunity for people to just learn and, hopefully meet people that they'll continue to meet with for their entire journey in the life sciences.
Perfect. That sounds like that was an amazing event for
It
sure.
was so much fun.
Well, Brittany, can you talk a little bit about a few of the life-saving technologies that NCI SBIR is creating to help diagnose cancer in women?
Yeah, so one of the companies that we actually featured in that roundtable that I just mentioned during that event with Dr. Rathmel was Isono Health. And so the Chief Technology Officer, Shadi Sabiri, is actually an engineer and founded the company based on someone close to her having breast cancer. And so she founded her company and has now developed the world's first AI-driven platform with an automated portable and wearable ultrasound to empower women and their physicians with early breast cancer detection and monitoring. And so they're newer to our portfolio, but their device is already FDA 510(k) cleared, and their patented compact ultrasound scanner captures 3D images by automatically scanning the whole breast volume in 2 minutes, no radiation, and the device connects to a smartphone, tablet, and laptop, and then the data is transferred to a secure cloud for image processing and storage. And then their machine learning algorithm uses acoustic biomarkers to identify abnormal masses. So it's really a truly automated operation, and the software expand ultrasound use in point of care diagnostics and monitoring of breast health at radiology centers, walk mobile clinics, which is just fantastic. I feel like we're seeing so many new technologies that are able to be used in a variety of settings, including, low resource settings, which is just really cool to see. And so that's one really good example, I think, from our portfolio.
Yes, that is. Wow, that's incredible. That's really incredible. Well, Brittany, how is NCI utilizing cancer research and innovation to improve women's overall health?
Yeah, I'd say, specifically for the SBIR office, I think it's important to note that we fund anything that touches cancer. So certain projects can be, brought into women's health overall or a cancer patient's health overall. One example that comes to mind are companies in our portfolio focused on treating the side effects of cancer treatment and the cancer experience, specifically for women and other populations. So, one company is focused on developing interventions for chronic insufficient sleep or insomnia in breast cancer survivors and young adult cancer survivors. And we've had contract topics and other applications focused on financial hardship and decreasing the financial toxicity associated with cancer care and treatment, which is obviously a huge burden and stress for all cancer patients and their families. And there are also technologies around risk assessments to identify women at high risk of things like breast cancer.
Okay, perfect, perfect. Well, earlier you mentioned about the fireside chat with Dr. Rathmel and that she also moderated a panel. I wanted to know, can you talk about just some of her priorities when it comes to innovative tools to enhance women's health and tell us a little bit about what is top of mind for her.
Yeah, I'll definitely give a little snapshot of what she mentioned during the event. She is just so inspiring. I think at the beginning during the fireside chat, she mentioned that, right now we have about $1 billion dedicated to women's health research. And she really highlighted the importance of NCI spores or the specialized projects of research excellence, which are basically large multi-project awards around a certain disease topic. So I believe there are about seven in breast cancer, six in ovarian, and one in endometrial, and one in cervical as well. She also highlighted that NCI really took stock for certain cancers where funding was low compared to the incidence of that cancer. And so they realized this was true for endometrial cancer in one instance and put out a supplement and got an amazing response. And so, getting that amazing response around this cancer that kind of lacks funding was really, showing that there's probably more to be done in this area, which I think is just great knowledge to have. Dr. Rathmal also mentioned the NCI Cervical Cancer Last Mile Initiative, which aims to overcome the barrier of the lack of FDA approval for self-collection approaches for HPV testing and cervical cancer screening. So this initiative will increase screening access and reduce cervical cancer incidence in underserved and high-burden populations. She also noted the SHIP trial being conducted as part of this initiative and how this will really test how effective individual HPV testing is, which will inform us about how we enable individuals to own and know their risk for cancer and to be able to act on this really efficiently. And if we're able to do that, then I mean, the impact on cervical cancer alone is just incredible with this kind of SHIP trial. And so I like that she focused on the spores in the SHIP trial, but then she's just so great to talk to about women's health in general and how she approaches women's health. And so she really highlighted the fact that women actually get more cancer than just the women's cancers that we tend to think about, like ovarian, breast, cervical, etc. And so she has this, in her mind that it's super important at looking how women respond to therapy and other cancers and realizing the sex and gender differences might be a major discriminator in looking at how cancers evolve and how people respond. And so it's nice to hear that that's something Dr. Rathmel is inspiring people to think about at NCI so we can approach and address these differences meaningfully.
Right, right. That is wonderful to hear. I'm so glad that Dr. Rathmel hit on those very, very, very important points, especially, like you said, like cervical cancer. A lot of these types of cancers may not always be found early, you know,
Right.
and so that is really wonderful that the focus is put in that area. Well, Brittany, what are some of NCI's funded startups and what type of impact are they having on women's health, especially when it comes to cancer prevention as well as survival rates?
Yeah, so I'll talk about three companies here. So these three companies were also featured in that roundtable with Dr. Rathmel. So the first one, Covina Therapeutics, is a company that is actually funded by both NCI and ACS, which is kind of another story in its own right. But she was able to get an NCI award with us. We actually had an event in Boston previously where ACS was also involved. She connected with ACS at that event and was able to get funding through them. And so it just shows how these organizations do work to, fund these incredible companies. But anyway, Covina is focused on stopping HPV pre-malignant infections before cancer develops and treating HPV cancers after detection. So the company's science includes novel small molecule antiviral compounds that kill HPV infected cells by binding to and inactivating HPV 16E6, a key HPV protein always expressed in early pre-malignant and cancerous pathologies. And I really like when the CEO, Kristen Sherman, kind of talks about the different problem scenarios, especially around their technology. There's, problem scenario one, where a woman would have an abnormal pap smear, is diagnosed as HPV positive. Her physician is telling her to watch and wait. Your immune system is likely to clear the virus, or it may progress over years and could become cancerous. And so Covina's solution is to come in at that time and prescribe the patient a therapeutic that would kill the HPV infected cells and stop that progression, which really eliminates the risk of developing cancer and the stress of wondering if your immune system will combat the virus. So you're not having to wait those years and years and years to see if anything happens. And then, the scenario two for their antivirals is a patient diagnosed with HPV related cervical or head and neck cancer. They need surgery to remove the tumors, followed by chemo and radiation. I think we all know how awful that is. And so instead, a patient could be prescribed Covina's therapeutics designed to kill the infected cells, and the tumors would dramatically shrink prior to surgery, which significantly lowers the radiation burden, which can cause extremely challenging side effects. So that's just one example. We have also Ananya Health. So this is more of a device. They're building a cryoablation platform to freeze and destroy cervical lesions at the point of care before they become cervical cancer, before they become cervical cancer. And their technology generates ablative temperatures without the use of consumable cryogen, so no liquid nitrogen or CO2. And it's designed for use at any type of care setting by a wide variety of providers. And then the last one I'll talk about is Envisagenics. They are using their artificial intelligence and machine learning platform for target discovery in triple negative breast cancer and other indications, and for identifying functional and verifiable splice switching oligonucleotides crucial for the development of RNA therapeutics. So, as I said, we really do fund quite a variety of things, and I feel like lately we're seeing a lot more in regards to prevention and early detection as well.
Of course, if we have early detection and we have more preventive measures, we're saving lives. You all are saving lives.
Exactly.
That's awesome. So thank you so
Exactly.
much. Well, can you tell us a little bit about the challenges that NCI has faced while trying to bring innovative techniques to advance treatment options for patients?
Right. Yeah. I'd say, specifically related to our office, since we are, always kind of focused on the startup world. We're always doing what we can to connect our companies with potential investors and follow-on funding because we know that even though our funding could be considered substantial in a non-dilutive sense, it will never be enough for companies to commercialize and continue their journeys. And so we, definitely make those connections to VCs. We make sure we're meeting investors and letting them know about what we do in our portfolio. But at the end of the day, I mean, you can go and Google what the VC landscape is like specifically for women-led companies, and it's just awful. It's been reported that only 1.9% of VC funding goes to women-led companies, which is just atrocious. And so if we can do anything to, help the companies in our portfolio that fit this women-led role, in addition, we also support our entire portfolio. But specifically for women, I think we're really trying to connect with more women-led VC firms and other organizations that are interested or who at least have somebody in their team that are interested in women-led companies focused on women's health and, letting them know about what we do. I think that's super important. And then on the flip side, I think, I don't know if it would necessarily be a challenge, but it's just a lot of work is outreach is such a big part of what we do. And we want to make sure that, all early career scientists, everyone starting a small business and interested in funding, which I mean, who isn't, that they're aware of our program. And so that's a huge priority. It's a big time commitment, but it's, really important to be intentional about where we're traveling and which organizations we are targeting to ensure that all potential applicants to our program get the information they need to be able to apply and hopefully be successful.
Oh, wow. Perfect. Well, thank you. Thank you for discussing some of the challenges. Well, Brittany, are there any future tech initiatives that you're excited to talk about?
Yeah, so at NCI SBIR, we fund with grants and contracts. So every year, our targeted contract solicitation comes out, and this is just a once a year opportunity. But these contract topics are developed with other divisions at NCI, and they're basically, hot topic areas or high need areas. So this year we had 13 topics with applications just recently due in October. So it will be great to see which proposals get the green light. But some of this year's cool topics are point of care technologies for GI cancer prevention and early detection, wearable technologies to facilitate remote monitoring of cancer patients following treatment, drug-loaded carrier particles for improved oral delivery for colon cancer prevention, synthetic microbes for immuno-oncology therapies, precision nutrition interventions to reduce cancer-related symptoms, and development of novel therapeutics for HPV-related precancer. And so really that's just a few of those, but it's clear that we're really entering a time where a new and important focus on early detection and prevention is, not only needed, but it's, extremely necessary. And hopefully we see some powerful technologies funded in these areas that will ultimately impact patients and save lives.
Yes, that would be perfect. And that all sounds very, very exciting as well. Thank you so much.
Yes, of course.
Well, before we conclude, Brittany, I do want to know if you have any final comments or remarks that you would like to leave with our listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say if anyone is interested in learning more about NCI SBIR, you can email us at ncisbir@mail.nih.gov. Our office is really unique in that we're a centrally managed office that only focuses on SBIR and STTR wards. So we have a team of 12 program officers that manage our portfolio. And we have, additional staff like myself who are really working on all of our commercialization resources for our portfolio companies. And so we're not just like a scary bureaucratic institution. We love to talk to anyone interested, companies, researchers, investors, anybody, and we're happy to do so. So please feel free to reach out.
Okay, perfect. Well, all I can say is, wow, that was wonderful, Brittany. I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation, and I just want to thank you so much for telling us about the mission of NCI SBIR and the many ways it's helping to improve the overall health of women. So, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time, and I hope you have a great afternoon.
Thank you so much, Nikki. I hope you have a great one as well.
Thank you.